But I almost feel like I'm one of you all, you know? I mean, the whirlwinds hit, and we're all running across the, you know, the field of Pauling. We're not sure who's living, who's made it, who hasn't made it. You know, we have no idea what's going to happen next, you know, as far as the series goes. I mean, that strikes me as, you know, as a good point at which to maybe take a pause and think about the series in a more evangelical light, right? Think about a way to actually make it more accessible to more people. What do you guys think?
I don't know if I'm speaking for all of us, but what I'd like to read is something more historical than literary about the world of the Three Seas, like the Silmarillion to Tolkien's, whatever it's called.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that one.
You are right in my narrowcast demographic. It's, sorry, what's your... Colin, yes.
Yes, did I explain that well?
Yeah, no, I understand it. You want me to write a meta-similarion to the extent that my books are sort of kind of pattern off the Silmarillion. What's that? The no-Silmarillion. Yeah, you know, it's something I'd have a lot of fun doing. And one of the things I've played with is actually writing at least one of the books of the No God in a Silmarillion format, right? You know, going sort of, you know, full biblical. But as much fun as I think that would be for me and potentially for you, I think it would have the effect of narrowing, greasing the stairs. Yeah. I mean that kind of. Yeah, I love that stuff. I really do. I mean, and even philosophically speaking too. If I wasn't trying all the time to reach out, I mean. Sharon can tell you my philosophy papers from, especially when I was reading Heidegger and stuff, I'd give you my philosophy papers and you'd be like, eh? I mean, they just, yeah. How esoteric, yeah, they can be.
So accessible, like philosophy, like the papers. You know what I'm talking about.
I'm trying to get out of it. I want a new career.
No, but as a philosopher, you know what he's talking about.
Yes, it's scary. I don't want to think about it much of the time.
Yeah, no, it's no. I mean that. As much as I love that stuff, I mean. I just love writing, period. I mean, and I love the struggle too. I love trying to take something that's very, very esoteric and, you know, forcing it into a more accessible idiom and stuff. I mean, I love that as well. But I think you know, I just think it's self-indulgent, right? I mean, it really is. It's wanking. It's pure wanking at that point. But. Yeah, I can't go that way. As much as I would love to, I just can't. I can't do that. You know, maybe you know, after the No God or something like that. I guess. I mean,
a follow-up on this is you've written that one thing from Tolkien, that his stories were meaningful because they relied on they referred to stories. There's this layer of narrative going back.
Yeah.
And then you created your world that has this layer so that everything that happens is meaningful because of this layered context. Does that mean that actually writing a first apocalypse do you think it would have a deflationary effect on the second apocalypse?
Maybe. I mean, that's, I worried about that with The False Sun, right? But I'm actually, even though I don't really think The False Sun is that good of a short story, I liked it. I liked the way it played off.
It's one of your better short stories.
I like the way it played off of the series. I really liked that. I liked the way it sort of complemented things, and it gave a spin to things and stuff. I really found that fun, I guess. I don't think it's an easy story though either. I think it's pretty much as difficult as anything else in the series, right? I mean, I guess it'd be a real trick to write something that is kind of has like a broader mass appeal that doesn't feel like it's actually betraying,
I think
the
it's a
vision.
super difficult question to answer, and I think if all of us wrote you an email, you'd get 9 different opinions, but they'd probably fall into 3 camps. And one, or if you asked everybody, right, it'd probably be the people who are extremely disappointed in the Unholy Console because it didn't tie up all these storylines, and you're missing things in their mind, right, of a complete story. And they would all say, well, you have to finish the story because it's not done yet. You get other people who
What did you expect?
are happy with the way it was because the story played out exactly as it was written to play out, and those people don't understand the people who say it's not done yet, because to them it's like, yeah, it's done. This is where the story was going for so long that let's just get more world building. Let's do 1,000 atrocity tales, and I'll learn about all of the different things that are happening in Euro that we don't know about or we get hints about, but we don't really know. That's only 2. I had a third one.
Well, I did clear my throat.
With that one, but
I did clear my throat.
So it really depends on what your goal is, because if you go and say, oh, I'm going to write something that has more mass appeal, all the people that like your books for not having a mass appeal will feel betrayed.
Well, that's the tightrope, right?
Already, right?
Yeah.
They already have the second apocalypse, so maybe the first apocalypse is for them. But so how do you play that game? Do you want more commercial success, but would that betray the vision that you had of being sort of this in between? So
Well, the way-
depends on you and how you want it to go.
I mean, the way I think of it is that, the series is difficult as it is, right? And so, like I can't, so this vision I had that I cooked up, when I was 17 is, there it is, right? And it really is. It's miraculous when I think about it. Brian and I, we talk about it every once in a while. It's like, can you believe? Like, here it is, right? I mean, it really is. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we both are in our 40s now, so it's been quite a,
Yes, it is.
been around for a while. But
Scotty's
it's,
not
Yeah.
in his 40s.
Sharon?
I was trying to have a little break there.
But so it's always going to be there, and so writing a prequel, it'd have to be the right story. I really think if it was the right story, and yet it was a lot more accessible, right? I mean, I think some people would be bummed that it wasn't, stylistically continuous, but I mean, so long as the story's strong, I think a lot of people would be okay with it. And it doesn't change the fact that this giant Baroque epic is written. It's out there, and it's not going to be changed, right? I mean, imperfections and all. It's not me saying I'm perfect and everything's perfect in the book. Far from it. The book's filled with screw-ups, right? But it's just basically saying that the screw-ups are part of the book. I think I'd worry that if I wrote about the first apocalypse in an accessible manner, that would actually kind of feel like it cheapens the backstory somewhat. Is that yeah? Yeah. What's your name? Sorry, Andrew. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. You're shaking. You were like, yeah. That was it.
The appeal in The Thousand Points of Thought and The Aspect Emperor was finding out more about this world, and there were just hints of it in The Prince of Nothing.
Yeah.
And the enemies to the north were this mysterious, inscrutable force, and just getting these little tiny bits of information was so satisfying.
Yeah.
The speculation threads were just really fun to read about.
Yeah. Yeah, at some point I'll have to go back and do some spelunking on all these speculation threads, because I realized years and years ago that I was just I would be asking for a world of trouble if I kept following online speculation about where the story was going, because it's just like, no, what was my original idea again? Have to go back to my notes, but. Yeah, I know. I'm glad you dug that. I mean, for me, that was a big part of it too, right? To turn it into a striptease, you know, like the full Monty, not until the end. You know. So.
That was one of the things that I got, I don't know, but I'm sure you guys all do this too, as well. Like somebody is halfway interested, you go, hey, I'll lend you the book, or I'll, whatever. What I've lent out like 7 copies of The Darkness, hoping they don't bring it back, I'm sure y'all do all stuff. But my brother, one of the things that I got him on was that the thing that amazed me so much is that geographically you're unfurling, but you're also unfurling not just geographically, but why? Like, what the hell is going on, how this world works, and then why it works, and why everyone's doing everything. We don't know that. You're unfurling all those things, those levels at the same time. That's what finally got him onto it.
Right on. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Because the setting is a character in the series, right? I mean, if not the character of the series, so setting development and plot development are basically, hand in glove throughout the whole thing.
So, do you have like a madman's wall of 1 million cards and strings? Or like, how is this all?
Pins and strings.
No pins and strings. I'm probably sure there's people out there. I know I bumped into enough consistency hawks to know that there's people out there who probably wished I had pins and strings. But I'm living with the thing since I was 17 years old, right? And it's there. Like, I come up with ideas. Sometimes in the middle of the night, I'll have an idea, and just simply because it fits, I'll remember it. I just remember it. I won't forget it, ever. I've just been living with it for so long. I mean, that was one of the really strange things about turning the book in. It was kind of, almost like. Basically watching your own funeral barge float out into the water, because just been living with it for so long, and like I've said many times, there are continuity errors that just make me cringe. It's a screw up in dates in The Great Ordeal, The White Luck Warrior. And I wish I could go back to the darkness. Some people do. Oh yeah.
I look at the location. Okay, I know what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Everybody fixates on something different.
On something different, and that's the thing. It's one of the pleasures and the perils of fantasy writing is that you get to go as deep as you want to in terms of building things and making them consistent or what have you, right? But you always are going to encounter readers who, in some cases, just simply have more knowledge of you, about some topic, like say horses or something like that, So I'm constantly getting reprimanded on. Different facts, right? Because it's impossible to research everything to the nth degree, and then just simply consistency, consistency in names, a lot of times those details, they escape me without me realizing that they've escaped me. It feels like, oh yeah, this is what this is. I'm 100% certain, right? And then, I get the manuscript back from a reader, and it's like, excuse me, and then it's like, fuck you, Mike, right? And, but, so that happens all the time too. I don't probably sweat it enough. I certainly don't sweat it as much as a lot of people I think would want me to, just simply because I really do look at the process.
And are any of these continuity errors catastrophic to the story? Because I didn't even notice that you say, well, this date is 10 units off of what it should be. It's like,
I think they ruin the story for some readers, yeah. I do. I mean, from the letters I get, I guess. I mean, some people really take exception to some of them, but I don't know. I don't think so. And once again, it's like, you can't, you can fool most of the people most of the time when you write fantasy, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And I fool myself most of the time when I'm writing it, but there's a lot of people, they're reading and boom, they're capsized by something that breaks the spell for them, right? And I mean, that's a drag. I wish it hadn't, but I wasn't setting out to fool all the people all the time, right? I was setting out to fool most of the people most of the time. So, and it's part of the, I think I guess the commercial challenge of the series is you telescope that out over 7 books, I guess. You need people to cut you some slack and forgive you some mistakes, and hope most of the people are like you and me.
I have to ask you, the world you're portraying here, us and our progression.
Yeah.
And then the much further advanced Fathers of the Incoroi. Do you think there's a bridge? I mean, do you imagine, or was this just a necessary part of the second apocalypse that they be that advanced and just you skipped, or what?
See, back at the time, I mean, I just looked at the Incoroi when I first came up with the Incoroi as being sort of the logical progression of the hedonistic treadmill, as they call it, right? So I mean, it's like you do something and you love it, and then you do it again and you really like it, and then you do it again and it's kind of cool, and you do it again, it's like, oh geez, right? And you do it again, it's like, oh man, yeah, why did I like that so much, right? I mean, so you go on to something else, and the Incoroi are kind of a telescoping of that to its max, right? Where, physical pleasures and wallowing in just pure sensation has been taken to this ludicrous extreme, right? And of course, because of this, crypto-Judeo-Christian morality that's underwriting the universe of the 3 Cs, that means they're all damned, right? And so that's where the idea came from originally. Yeah.
You painted a picture for us of earlier tonight of how the readership you've attracted is essentially your own tribe, as you termed it, the no tribe.
Yeah.
And other people from other tribes have been outraged or otherwise repelled.
Yeah.
And if you write to communicate, I wonder if that is a disappointment for you, and if you have, and since you write a continuing series, if the first book was already a blockade, any new material you put out is also not going to reach anybody that didn't get past the first book. And I wonder if you have any strategy to reach new readership.
Yeah, this is actually what we were discussing earlier today, right? I mean, to the first leg of your question, without a doubt, right? I mean, if the series at some point just simply remains a cult, if it's a cult classic perpetually, right, then the experiment has failed, and the vision, for all of its, parochial appeal, ultimately was too parochial, right? It didn't reach out to enough people. I haven't given up on it, and there's still at least 2 books to write. So it's far from game over, but by this time next year, I'll have a much better sense, I think, of what kind of feeling of doom I have in my stomach when it comes to that, right? I mean, because the whole point of writing from between tribes was to actually, find a way across tribes, right? To actually connect, people to ideas that they just simply wouldn't encounter, any other way. And I mean, it's getting harder and harder. I mean, those preference parsing algorithms, right? I mean, are bricking people in deeper and deeper all the bloody time. So I mean, it's a race that I fully admit I maybe probably have already lost.